Hello again, everybody. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the newest update from Working Title on the CJ4. It's currently up to version 0.6.0 now, and this latest update significantly increases the quality of life with regards to the PFD and MFD readability. This update also adds crossing restrictions to the legs page, so this is incredibly useful when you're flying, say, like a SID or a star, because it allows you to look at the legs page and see what altitude you have to be either above and below, or at for any given fix on your route. There's also a lot more features that have been added to the mod, and I'll try to cover those during the flight. So let's go ahead and jump in the cockpit. Okay, here we are in the cockpit, so we'll go ahead and start this like usual. So go battery on.
System test. Okay.
Avionics to dispatch. And go pause init. Set up the INS. And we'll go ahead and start engine 2 now. Get the beacon light on. And for our flight plan, I'm going to be using a SimBrief flight plan, so just gotta go here. Flight plan recall. I'm gonna use this one. There it goes. So hit execute. And so one thing that's been changed is if, well, it's hidden by this, but the hydraulic pressure has been fixed. So right now it should be at like 3,000 psi, I believe. Okay, engine 2 started, so start engine 1. And so for our departure, we're flying the, if I get the chart up here, Beaver 1. And we're going to go to Sprocket. So hit execute. Should update over here. There it goes. And we're going to wait for our arrival. It's either going to be the Lucky 1 or Top Gun 2, depending on which runway we're going to be landing. So we can go to Takeoff. And this QNH is now tied to the altimeter, the knob up here, so you don't have to type it in now. Okay, here you can see 3,000 psi. They also kind of just visually fixed the battery amp over here, so it's not like negative 500 amps. Then I'll also put a picture up about this just so you can see the difference in how the MFD readout looks like. Okay, so now we'll turn the avionics on and set air source to normal. Turn our fans on, just turn the fan speed down so it's not so loud. And so now we have to get our takeoff performance. And if I find the frequency over here, ATIS should be 135.575.
Eagle Airport information, Whiskey 1400 Zulu. Wind 20 tree at Niner. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Whiskey.
Alright, we have Whiskey. Okay, so that's all set. Anti-ice is going to be off. 15 degrees of flaps. And we're pretty light today, so actually I think I forgot to actually put this in. So 3 passengers and I think it's 200 pounds of bags. Cruising at flight level 400. So now we can go to takeoff. Next. Okay, that looks a little better. I was wondering why we had a rotate of 88 knots. So we'll get that sent over to the PFD. Good. Okay, so that should be all set up. And now for the autopilot, we're going to climb as quick as possible up to, we'll say, just put it at 40,000 for now. This plane climbs so fast that I shouldn't have to worry about any of the crossing restrictions on this departure. Go to 3,000 feet per minute initially and 250 knots. And I'm just going to use it as a visual indication of the speed limit. Because actually we have to be below 225 knots, so I take it back. Okay, that's in there. Let's see. Keep this on weather for now. For the MFD on memory 1, have it on arc with FMS text with the terrain on, so store that in memory 1. Memory 2 is going to be the same thing, just without FMS text, so save that to memory 2. And memory 3 is going to be plan view. There we go. So I'll keep it in memory 1 for now. And we should be ready to taxi. So I'll turn the nav lights on. Taxi lights. And one more thing I forgot is that the transponder is actually working now, so we can take it out of standby to TARA. So that's another nice thing that's been fixed. Let's see. Passenger briefing. And I'll play the short takeoff briefing, and I'll pick this up once we have reached the runway threshold.
May I have your attention, please?
Okay, so here we are at runway 25. Go ahead, turn the landing light and strobe lights on. And set flaps to 15 degrees. And you may notice that the elevator trim is no longer inverted, so we have our elevator trim set. Go ahead, get on the runway. And we'll turn our pitot heat on now, so we, and you don't want to turn it on when you're taxiing, because apparently you can actually melt the plane that way, so turn it on once you get to the runway. Okay, just double checking. Yep, good to go. Okay, takeoff power. rotate. And go gear up. And this is a high elevation airport, so performance is going to be a little bit worse than usual. Okay, we'll go flaps up, and we have to turn 206 degrees as soon as possible, so go ahead and do that now. Go ahead, hand this over to the autopilot. Get the yaw camper on. Okay, so I'll let this fly itself out to cruise, and once we're at cruise, I will go over some of the new features. Okay, so here we are up at 40,000 feet, and so the first thing I want to show off is the bearing pointer. And so to do that, we need a VOR. So we go to database, and I believe the Dove Creek VOR should be close enough to us that we'll pick it up. So 114.6 is the frequency. So 114.6. And I think we might also be close enough to the rattlesnake VOR, which is RSK. And it's going to be 115.3. So to bring up the bearing pointer, we go up to PFD menu, and we're going to scroll down to bearing source, and select. And so for first one, we'll bring up VOR1, and on the second one, we'll bring up VOR2. And so this is, looks like it's pretty accurate. So we're just passing the Dove Creek VOR to our northeast. Is that northeast? Yeah, northeast. And passing VOR2, which is the rattlesnake VOR, down to the southeast. And I'll actually throw up a map just so you can see that this is working correctly. But you'll notice there's also ADF1, ADF2. They have added the ADF to the plane now, which somehow it's not in the default plane, but you can now fly to NDVs, do NDV approaches, stuff like that. So that is a very nice thing that I've been looking forward to being added. So if we go back up here, and if you have it in FMS1, it'll point to the current FMS route. And I'll just turn it off for now. And okay, so next thing I wanted to just point out again is that the readability of this is just way better. Like if you go here, these numbers are so much easier to see. You don't have to zoom in as far. You can actually, it might be hard to see in the video, but I can still see all of these numbers. Just zoomed out here. So that's really nice that that got changed. And then the last thing I was going to show off, I actually have to wait until we put in our terminal arrivals, so I think I'll come back once we're coming up to this York intersection up here. So I'll see everybody in a few more minutes. Okay, so here we are, just crossing the York intersection, heading up to True. And so, given the current winds, we're going to be expecting the localizer to runway 27, and which means for our arrival we're going to be wanting the lucky one arrival. Transition, we're going to be coming from true, and we'll be looking for the localizer from runway 27. Just see where this Lindy is. Yep, go via Lindy, so go ahead and execute. And just double check it goes from York True and then Lindy. Yep. And I think we might be able to jump into plan view and move this forward.
Overspeed.
So that all looks correct.
Overspeed.
Just gonna throttle back a bit.
Overspeed.
So then if we go here, we can see at Momar we have crossing restrictions, so below flight level 260 and above flight level 240, which if I bring up my chart here, and I'll put it up on the screen too, that's what it shows on the chart. And then on the chart shows desert below 23,000 or below 23,000, above 19,000, which we can see here. And also shows a 270 knot speed restriction, which I believe they said speed restrictions aren't 100% implemented yet. It's just kind of whatever the game gives out at the moment, so in this case it actually got the right number, 270. Although I think that's for Trixie, not for Desert, but close enough, I guess. And then Trixie below 14,000, above 12,000. And then you just continue down, you got above 8,000 at Barrett, above 6,100 at Hannah, above 6,000, or at 6,000 at Lucky, at 210 knots. Above 5,000 at Lindy, and above 4,000 at Vida. And then it just continues all the way down to 2,000 feet at Rebo, and that's where that's like the last fix in the localizer approach. I will cut the video here and come back once we are just about to join the localizer from runway 27 at San Diego. Okay, so we're getting close to the airfield now, only about 20 miles to go. Let's see, just get down to 5,000 after Lucky. So I'll throw in the ATIS at San Diego. So I should be 134.8. Not getting the ATIS, so what I'll do is I'll just get it from SkyVector here. So 270 at 6 knots, and temperature is 21. Altimeter is 3003. So as we're coming down here, it's going to get kind of busy. Altimeter 3003. Get that dialed in there. Next, send. Okay. Drop down to 4,000 feet. And I'll actually get the, we should get the localizer right now. Not showing up in there, so if we go to the chart, it should be, let's see, 110.9. Okay. I'll switch to approach mode. Hopefully this switches over to localizer. Okay, rebo, try and get down to 2,000. Just get this plane slowed down a bit. Drop the gear, drop flaps 1. Plane's still not picking up the localizer. So that might be an issue with the actual airport itself. Take the autopilot off. Get the speed brake up here. And get the yaw damper off. And I just want to double check our VREF is 108. Get rid of the flight director. So this is the localizer, runway 27, just without the localizer. Full flaps. Slow down to the approach. Okay, start slowing to VREF. Start the flare. brakes out, get the nose wheel down, start to brake. Okay, bring the speed brake up, flaps up, turn the pitot heat off. Get the landing, strobe lights off. Exit on the left here. Okay, so we'll get the parking brake on. And go ahead and turn the lights off. Get the avionics off. Air conditioning off. Air source off. And we'll go ahead and shut down engine 1. Engine 2. And turn off the battery. And we don't actually turn the generators off. I've been doing that wrong. Just leave the generators on. And the plane should shut off here in a second. There it goes. Okay, so that's it for this demo flight today. Hopefully that gave some of you a good idea of how to use some of the new features in the working title mod, or how to find some of them. I think my favorite thing that had been added is, well, I'd say it's tied between the crossing restrictions on the legs page and also the bearing pointer on the PFD and MFD. Both of those are going to be used quite a bit by me in future flights. And so I'll wrap it up here. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments. Hopefully some of you got a kick out of me planning my arrival a little bit too late. I'm kind of stressing out at the end there, but we made it down safely, so hope everybody enjoyed the flight, and I'll see everybody in the next video.